Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode here at Coleman's Corner. I'm your host, Jared Coleman, and today we are going to talk about growth. One of the most important things that MSPs want to consider. We're going to talk about the good, bad, and the ugly here. So let's jump into it. Having worked at several MSPs, done some IT consulting, I've often heard, money solves all problems. And I think that's more true in the consulting space, where staff augmentation and dedicated teams, third-party vendors, static margins. Anything with a static margin, money definitely solves a lot of problems in that space. Service-based industry, pure service-based teams, money does not solve all your problems. Frankly, it acts like a magnifier on all your problems. It will highlight all of your issues, minor and not. And at the same time, it acts as a way to show you where you need to improve your MSP. Oftentimes, it goes back into onboarding, but it shows itself in scalability as well. When you're bigger and rolling out new products, anything new or reoccurring type service comes through. So when you're smaller, these growth problems, they don't really hit you too hard. You're in it. You're doing a lot of the onboarding. You're doing a good part of the service delivery, and you have more money. There's often a point where you feel stretched a little thin, and should I hire one? And do I have enough money to keep the business afloat, pay my employees, get myself a reasonable salary, a reasonable wage? Those conversations or analysis happens, but in reality, growth exposes the weaknesses that already exist. So the issue's not with growth. Growth is fine. The issue is just the maturity not evolving at the same pace. Growth is, I go back to math of sales, the channel message timing. You can make growth happen. There's a formula. It works. It hits. I know a lot of MSP struggles with that, and we can have a whole nother episode specifically. But on making growth happen, but let's talk about the growth and the impacts more. When you're in there delivering and you're doing onboarding and you're in with your customers on a daily basis, that the communication becomes informal, and any of the gaps on your team, you fill those gaps. You're the glue. You're holding everything together. If you go back to episode 1, talking about the system, the owner being the system, right? And only being able to grow as big as you are. Like how the company can only grow as much as you can handle. How big can you handle? How big can you grow? You have some employees there to help you fill those gaps. It's a little bit easier when you're smaller, but you get to a point where it's too hard. You have more clients. Imagine doubling your clients, adding one more tech. You have more tickets, more escalation paths. You had to add a couple more vendors on, more QBRs, more internal meetings, more external meetings, quality between your techs, quality between customers. You got a service desk manager now. So is that message that you're giving them being trickled down to the techs appropriately? Growth will compound the complexity in an MSP pretty quickly. More quickly than the operational complexity can match that growth. And you don't want to make your company so challenging to work within, so many rules, so much governance, so much structure that you need to be nimble. So you have to balance the doing things quickly and getting things done versus collecting data for the sake of collecting data. Let's talk about that little bit of that mid-stage. You have some leaders. How are those leadership meetings working? Are the escalations, is the escalation rate staying the same? Are you checking? Are you monitoring how many tickets are being escalated? Does your delivery and quality service vary from tech to tech? Is one tech consistently taking one customer? Oftentimes what I see is that the growth is happening, and then the operational visibility in the business decreases. So it's much, if you don't have some of these, if you don't have ticket type, subtype, and time tracking in your system, it's going to be very hard to see when you decide to step back and be less in the business. It's very hard to measure just operational success. So you have to set yourself up for that prior to trying to step back. And there's a point in there that you need to make that decision and get that data in there so you have those insights. And let's just say growth did not fail, but the maturity just hasn't gotten there yet. So, and that's what we need to have. You need to have the operational maturity so you can step back up. And let's talk a little bit more of those, I guess, those weaknesses that growth can reveal in your overall operations. As you grow, you're the one owner. You're the one doing the delivery. You are the bottleneck for the escalations, and you know how to do specific workflows to get the customer up, to get that line of business application going. I was this guy. I was there. I got out through documenting my workflows. Anywhere where I was an escalation point exclusively, I knew how to do something that nobody else knew how to. I documented it. Kaseya's SOP generator became my best friend. I don't know how many dozens I had to create to make that happen, but I did. And then I reference, hey, go to IT Glue. I've uploaded that. Check IT Glue, check IT Glue. As your techs refer each other to make sure you're using that tool so you don't have to re-explain things over and over. It's in there. So documented workflows will hurt you. You have to get those workflows documented. Inconsistent escalations, what gets escalated and when needs to be defined, and removing tribal knowledge. If you didn't know, MSPs are essentially training grounds for L1 techs. That's why there is a churn. MSPs typically can't grow enough as fast as the technical skill set of your techs. So I guess the first area, delivery. When you grow too fast, delivery. Operational inconsistency, it'll cause customer churn. So that's one area. You need to mature your operational delivery to ensure there's a system and you are not the system. You are not just doing anything that's one-off. Start fixing those one-offs. Start training your team. Speaking of team, your leadership team, you should, if you're growing at a pace, you're going to need to delegate. You need to hand things off. But their authority, their role, their accountability, all needs to be the same. How you manage it, well, let's not see the same. It needs to be clear what each person is responsible for and how they will be measured needs to be clear. How you manage them needs to be consistent. How you meet with them, how you measure them needs to be consistent. Yeah, many leadership teams, they appear semi-functional until they get tested, right? Some complexity stress tests them. And that's where you will have to come in and come back and support, but then don't let that happen twice. They know how to react. Fix that whole issue so they can make it through that complexity without you. Okay, so leadership. So we got delivery, we got leadership. I really love the leadership component. Really love bringing up teams and helping them be accountable. And that's one of my favorite areas is developing leaders. And your team will love you for it if you do it. If you do it right, developing a leader, bringing them to the table, giving them an opportunity to grow, they will love you for it. They're, like I said, there's oftentimes not enough MSP growth to facilitate the growth of the individuals. So if you give them some leadership opportunities, people want to be accountable. People want to grow. You'll find those people. Financials. A lot of times you feel your success in the early stage. You measure your labor costs against your MRR costs, and that's what you manage. Projects, hardware, everything else is outside of that. It's hard to gauge month to month how much that will be and how much team you need to complement that. I feel the stretch there, and how do you manage that workload across your customer base? But there's a lot of things that you miss. You may not feel all of those. You may not see all the tickets and how long things are taking. In growth, when you're early in it, there's not too much space to hide. You have 10 customers, 12 customers. Tickets can't really hide. Who's calling in the most? You see the phone calls. When you start getting 40, 50 customers will hide. Those noisy customers will slide in there, repeat. Your tech team will always have a response. Why'd they call? Oh, she needed to call back for something else. She needed to follow up on this. I didn't do this. But it's repetitive. It's repetitive. You will find that once you're doing ticket type, time tracking, you'll be able to see who your noisiest customers are and if you are leaking margin there. And I understand the tech revenue to the MRR, and it really doesn't matter because these guys are working full days, but can you add more customers? The ability to add more customers without increasing your staff is what you're trying to do. You're trying to optimize your delivery team through this everything that I'm talking about, but you need the data in there to be able to do that. You need to make sure that noisy customers aren't being noisy. You need to retrain them. You need to help them. You need to fix the underlying issues. You need to see the trends. But growth will hide this from you if you don't have these metrics in place. Once you get to 30, there may be this squeaky wheel of your smallest customer calling in every other day. You have a user at that site who just doesn't want to do work and creates problems for herself and blames IT because she can't get her job done. Now you have an angry customer, but it's just one user causing problems for you, for her own company. The next thing, the weak part, you've been the rock, you've been the system, owner dependency, founder dependency. You jump in, you help out, you fill the gaps. But as it grows and it compounds, you can't fill all those gaps. You get to a certain point, it does not matter how much you help out inside there. You are not going to reduce that ticket count. You can only save so many escalations. You can only save so much. You have to have the systems in there. You have to turn this into an asset. You need to transfer everything that you do into a system. You cannot be a bottleneck. You are the absolute highest escalation layer. You become more cultural. You become a cheerleader. You bring the hype. You bring the place that everybody wants to work at. You bring the good customers to the table for your experience. But as I said before, I'll say it a little differently so maybe you guys can all get it. The founder, the owner, becomes the scaling limit of the organization. The organization is limited by the ability of how hard the owner wants to work. Until you get these systems in, that's your growth capacity. That's where you're going to get stuck. If you've been stuck at 1.5 million, 2 million for years, this is why. If you can't get to 3 million or more, this is why. Churn. Systems. You're in the business, you're filling the gaps, you're not stepping out. Most MSPs, they're going through and it's like, oh, we got all these things. We just need more people. We need more tools. We need a dispatcher. We need better processes. Nothing's documented. We need a meeting to talk about all this every morning. We need to stand up. Sometimes it's a tool. Sometimes it is more staff. Usually that's not all of it. And that's not the answer. I've seen it. You add another staff, same problems. It's like, oh, you got everything. We got everything that was requested here without relying on data. No change in performance. Quality, service quality is still low. So the instability, that operational instability is during the growth. It's not growth itself. We know that, right? It's the structural immaturity that's exposed, right? The complexity increases. Like I said at the beginning of the call, growth will put a magnifier on all your issues very quickly. Where do you have gaps? Owner dependency, I would probably say number one. Operational visibility, because you can't see everything and you don't know where to make a judgment call. You don't know how to get in. You don't have the visibility to see what you need to change. You're relying on your intuitional team. We need more staff. We need more tools. You'll throw money at it when all you just need is better data. But first, to get the data, you have to collect the data. So you have to put in some of those systems to collect the right data to make the right decisions. We can't just react to how we feel for that day. One tech's out and, we need to hire somebody else because if he ever goes on vacation, we need somebody to back him up. So growth will reveal all the weaknesses. Growth did not create the weakness. Growth only revealed it. Okay, so we talked about all the problems. Let's talk about the solutions. What's this look like? They have operational visibility. They have 5, 6, 7 metrics that they look at weekly to judge the health, performance of the company. And with that operational visibility is a number. Everybody has a number. Everybody's accountable to keeping a number within a certain range. And that comes through your leadership team. The leadership structure is in place. You know when you need to hire by the number. You are not hiring because of how it feels. It feels busy. We need somebody else. No. You look at a variety of controls and metrics, and when you hit those metrics, you hire. It's not guesswork, it's not feel work. And if you're under that and you have too much tickets, your workload's too high, there's probably something going on with your operations. Resolution time is probably too high. You may need to implement some more SOPs and take the direction to driving margin up, giving your team more availability. So, and when you have this, I mean, you don't need to have a hero in there kind of cleaning everything up, dropping 35 something tickets in a day because they can. Not that they should be doing that, but they can, and you rely on, thank you came in and took care of that. You don't need to rely on this like exceptional individual effort, even yourself coming in there and knocking out a bunch of tickets. So, okay, we're back to good. We got us back up. You shouldn't have to do that. The team should be able to hit that. And if you kept doing that, you can't predictably scale, because what are you going to do? Come back in and just, all right, put yourself in there as a metric, 20% tech. So reduce that variance, stabilize the delivery, clarify accountability on who has what, govern escalation paths, standardize accountability, who has what, when, how is it measured, and if you don't hit those targets, what happens next? It's very clear. So easy to manage. This is the easiest management structure. So easy to manage. Once you have like a structure like this in place, you don't have to guess. You don't have to say anything. You didn't hit metric. If you don't hit metric, here's the 3 things that we need to look at. You look at these 3 things. Okay, it's option 2. What do we do with option 2? We take action. It's first call resolution time. Too many callbacks. You had 10 callbacks this week. We reopened that ticket 8 times. 8 reopens. That's 8 extra tickets that you didn't need. Okay. All right. I think you guys, I beat this down. Without this maturity, it just gets more chaotic. You will have customer churn. You will burn out. Owners will burn out. Leaderships will drift. They'll start taking a space and trying to own it themselves and doing whatever they can that doesn't even align with it. I've seen that happen. You get a leadership team together and you miss too many leadership calls, right? The rhythm breaks down and they're off doing their own initiative, what they think is important, which is like, I don't need you working on that. That is such a waste of time right now. We need to be going this direction. So you got to get the systems in place and you have to hold it. And it makes life so much easier when everybody has direction, accountability, everybody's pulling the same way. So that's what JC Access does. If you've made it this far, it gives you that system. I've been there. I've delivered tickets, next day tickets. It was a lot. I was doing QBRs, doing new sales, tickets, jumping in. It was a lot. And I have the system that I used to no longer be in the day-to-day operations. I can operate at a board level. I operate by weekly and monthly operational controls. It's not hard to get there. It's not rocket science, but it helps to have someone show you the pathway there, to collect the data, to look at data, and not just collect any sort of data, but to go through each section. Each section, there's a leadership component, finance component, operations, customers. We take a look at the whole business from an MSP perspective only. This isn't for other businesses. This is just for us. All right, we see where we're mature. We see where we're lacking. We create a plan for improvement, and we put the controls in place. It makes it so easy to manage. It's so black and white. There's no guesswork. Manage your team. Hey, this metric's low. Let's get it up. Hey, this metric's great. Good job. Anything that you noticed that helped us get that number, right? You're having positive conversations. You're having corrective action conversations. It's so easy, but it's not just guesswork. I pulled it together from my experience in the MSP land and being an MSP owner myself. So growth is not bad. Let's close it up. Growth is not bad. Growth is good. It's hard to get it locked in, but the growth creates complexity, and that complexity will overrun operational structures that weren't designed to scale. Owner-led MSP operations, owner-operator is not scalability. It's not scalability. You are the scaling limit. It will scale as big as you are, big as you can handle, as big as you want to burn yourself out. Growth is not the enemy. Structural immaturity. That's the enemy. You need to mature the operational through systems, documentation, data. You already got your intuition. When the intuition and data lock together, gold. Act and act fast. So your goal, you want to grow the business. Yes. Simple. I want to grow my business. Simple. But you also want to build a business that can absorb that growth without customer churn, without burning you out. You need to build an organization that's capable of absorbing complexity without destabilizing operations. All right, guys, this was a fun one. Growth, the magnifier of growth on your operational capabilities, capacity. It's awesome. If you're seeing this, would love to have a conversation with you to talk more about growth and the operational insights it brings. But until then, good job, guys.